Hey Waffle Gang, I do hope you are well. My name is Mark and today we're checking out some more Reddit stories, and if you do love a Reddit story, why not consider hitting that like, subscribe, maybe that notification bell too. And let's crack on with today's first story. Much love, guys. Now today's first story comes from Internet Beautiful 634 from the Am I the Arsehole Here subreddit. And it says, Am I the arsehole here for breaking up with my girlfriend because she literally told me she would cheat on me if I took a new job? I know this is going to come across as first world problems. I'm currently at a job where I earn around $250,000 a year. I have an opportunity for a job where I will get $640,000 a year. The caveat being the new job is overseas. I'll be gone for 4 months at a time instead of 4 weeks at a time. My girlfriend is unhappy. She says that she doesn't want me gone for that long, that she will get lonely. I try to explain that I will only be doing this job for 1 or 2 years and that the money I make sets us up for a bright future. We can pay off all our debts, we can buy a house, we can travel on my off time. She then said that she doesn't care about any of that and that if I'm gone for that long she might need company. I didn't understand at first and I said that we could get the dog that she's been wanting to get. She said she meant human company. I said that she had lots of company at work and at school and she was welcome to use our place to socialize all she wanted. She then spelled it out because I was stupid to think she was a decent human. She said that she wasn't going to go for months without sex. I said I completely understood and broke up with her. She is going crazy right now. She's at her sister's house and calling me and texting constantly. She says that I misunderstood and that she would never cheat on me. Like I said, I'm gone for a month at a time, so I'm pretty sure she's been lonely before. I can't trust her, and I'm not going to try and build a future with someone who can't think about plans. Commenter says, bro, for 600k, I'd be faithful to you. Eyes of Night says, I mean, I'm not gay, but 600k is 600k. And Biker Jedi says, I can cook and clean as well as do your yard work. If OP wants a dog, I'm great with dogs and love them. My wife, kids, current dogs won't be happy, but I can't let that poor man live alone with his 600k salary. He needs a house husband. Swag says, can I be the dog? I'll dress up when he's home or something. I'll even go along with the whole peanut butter thing if I have to. Cass says, I know this is out of context, but OP, would you mind telling me what job and position pays that amount? And in which country? I'm curious. OP says, construction project management. Many remote locations have this sort of pay and schedule. I know a woman from Japan that is currently on assignment in Canada and has this schedule. Cass says, how did you get into this field? OP says, tried to get a degree in engineering. Failed horribly. Became a millwright. Moved my way up. If you're as clueless as me, a millwright is a highly skilled tradesperson who installs, dismantles, maintains, repairs, and moves industrial machinery and heavy equipment in factories, power plants, and construction sites. And they also specialize in precision work, including aligning gears, shafts, and motors within the thousandths of an inch to ensure operational efficiency. Another commenter says to OP, finally, someone on here who believes the person when they tell them exactly who they are. Mr. Coco says, girlfriend, if you choose the job, I'll choose human contact. OP says, okay, you do that because I'm breaking up. Girlfriend with a surprise Pikachu face. What did she think would happen? Not the arsehole. So it was 1.5 years later after that post, OP came in with an update and said, so I'm back. If you didn't read the original post, I accepted an amazing job offer about 1.5 years ago. My girlfriend was not supportive and told me that if I took the job, she would cheat. I broke up with her and worked in the high Arctic for the last while. I saw the Northern Lights. I saw so many amazing things. I paid off my debts. During my days off, I saw the world. I saw Uluru and Kilimanjaro. I climbed Mount Fuji and watched the sunset at Finisterre after walking the Camino de Santiago de Compostela. It made me want to see more. I'm currently back in my hometown and I found out that I'm not ready to settle down. I've made friends all over the world and met women that made me forget my ex for a night or a month. No, it wasn't always sex. Sometimes it was something as simple as a conversation with a young lawyer from Australia who wanted to do something besides work at her father's law practice. Hope she changes the world like she wants. I only know her first name and I won't be sharing it here. I did run into my ex. She's with some guy in real estate. I'm happy for her. I'm glad I left to try something new. The company that hired me is happy with my work and I'll be going to South America for my next contract. Same money, more or less. Same schedule. I think the vagabond life is for me, and I'm going to give it all I've got for as long as I can. I want to thank all of you that gave me the kick in the pants I needed to break the ties that were holding me back. If you have nothing holding you back, take the leap. You only get to do this without regrets when no one is counting on you. I'll leave you with some advice. Mining companies pay an astonishing amount of money for tradesmen. They pay more for project managers and engineers. The Middle East will need to be rebuilt, and they will pay to get it done right. Don't be scared. One of my co-workers passed away in his sleep from a heart attack. He was 47. We're all going to die. Go live. The world is an amazing place to be alive. Sorry if this sounds like a millennial trying to sound deep. This last while has changed me. I hope I can keep it going. Embarrassed Rose says, good for you. Believe when someone tells you who they are and they don't want you or support you. Life is too short to put up with that crap. Illustrious says, would have been interested to hear more about the immediate aftermath of the breakup. Opie says I left for work, then I didn't go home until last week. I was busy with work. Then I was just busy. I wish she had trusted me to secure our future, but I'm free now. Illustrious Reply says I meant more in regards to her and how she handled things. Did she dial it back when she realized she had just ruined her chances at a meal ticket? I don't think you wanted to secure a future with her anyway though, so... Opie says I did. The money I've made could have paid off her student loans and her car. My new job will be close to an actual city where we could have got an apartment. I basically blocked her on everything when she said she would cheat. I don't really know her story right now. In the comments on this one, everyone was focused on the amount of money he was earning and saying, they would absolutely love to be with someone who was on that kind of money and have that kind of lifestyle. But there was just something about this story, and as always, I could be just interpreting this wrong, misreading it, whatever, but I can't help the way that I was feeling about it. And the title said, because she literally told me she would cheat on me if I took a new job. I kind of felt like that was a bit of an interpretation. She never actually said the word cheat. What she said was that she needed human company, that she wasn't going for months without sex. And he seemed to take that as a threat and broke up with her, and then she immediately backpedaled saying that he misunderstood, and maybe he did. Maybe she meant she'd end things rather than go behind his back. I think in the end, with the update, it didn't really matter anyway because the relationship was already the problem. She didn't want him to take this high-paying job. She didn't want him to grow in that way. She wanted him to stay basically small and familiar and close by. And he needed someone who says, go here, I'll be here, let's build something. And she wasn't that person. But even in the end, he's enjoying the traveling lifestyle now. But he ran to her and says it himself, that she's happy, he's happy for her, no bitterness, just two people that's walked their own paths in life. So I guess good for both of them in the end. But what do you guys make of this situation? Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below, and let's move on to another story. Now our next story comes from a throwaway account, and it says, one of my 24 female best friends, 25 female, cheated on her boyfriend, 26 male, over the weekend. They're now engaged, and he doesn't know. Throwaway for obvious reasons. I introduced one of my best friends, let's call her Kiana, to one of my good friends, Mason, 3 years ago. They instantly hit it off and were an item in no time. To me, it always seemed like they had a good relationship. They started getting serious, bought a condo together, and just adopted a dog from the local shelter last month. On Saturday, Kiana and I went out dancing with some of my colleagues from work. We were all pretty tipsy and Kiana said she had to go to the bathroom. So I went to the bar to get us some drinks. After about 10 minutes, my colleague asked, "Where's Kiana?" I scanned the bar to find her talking to this guy. Kiana is pretty flirtatious when she drinks. But as I was walking towards her, I saw her lean closer to this guy and start making out with him. I stood there in shock, but after regaining my composure, I made it over to her and said we needed to talk. I asked what she was doing and she said it was nothing, just eat of the moment. Please don't tell Mason. I was pretty pissed and told her that was a shitty position she put me in. She said she had to go to the bathroom, then asked if we could go home right after. I went over to say bye to my other friends, but I noticed her leaving the bathroom line and walking over to the same guy again. They were on the other side of the bar, so I started making my way over again when they left. I began calling her phone and she ignored me. And just as I got outside, she was getting into a cab with this guy. I was seething. I tried calling her again and left her a couple of texts and voicemails, asking her to call me as soon as she could so I know she was safe. That was my first priority, to make sure she wasn't going home with some creep. Then I would talk to her about cheating on Mason. She finally got back to me around 5 a.m. Sunday morning, texting me that she was safe and she needed to talk to me. I received that text when I woke up around 9 and told Kiana to come to my apartment. She was over in about half an hour. I asked if she could borrow a change of clothes and she started crying. She said she slept with that guy last night and instantly regrets it. Kiana said that she missed having other men attracted to her, so she gave in to the temptation. I told her that, even though it was hard, she needed to tell Mason. She said she would and thanked me for not judging her too harshly. I said what she did was wrong and it was unfair to make me choose sides, but Mason is also my friend and most importantly, her boyfriend, so he deserves the truth. A few days passed without a word from Kiana. Yesterday evening, she texted me saying, "Mason proposed." I said yes. I sat and stared at the text for a few minutes. Then she calls me, squealing with excitement, and gave me the details of the proposal. Then asked her if she told Mason about what happened last weekend. She said she didn't and couldn't now, or it would ruin their engagement. She then said her mum was calling her, so she hung up. I haven't heard from her since yesterday evening, but she is already posting her ring all over social media. I love Kiana to death. We've been friends for over 10 years, but I can't help but be angry at her for not only cheating on Mason, who was literally the kindest, sweetest man, but for hiding it from him and accepting a proposal. I get the sense that she is insecure, which is why she sought validation from some random dude at the bar instead of her boyfriend, now fiancé. She put me in such an awkward position. A part of me says I need to stay out of it, not ruin my friendship with her, as this is none of my business. But I can't get the image of her kissing that guy and leaving in a cab with him. Mason deserves the truth too. I've also been cheated on before, so I know how it feels. I don't want to ruin anything, but the weight of this situation is killing me, considering I'm the only one who knows what happened. What do I do? I think the fact is after this one is that you wouldn't be ruining anything. You'd be giving him the opportunity to make his own choices, which is what Mason deserves. She had the cheek to look you in the eye, cry to you, borrow your clothes, and then just bullshit you. I think holding this in, you'd struggle to look Mason in the eye again, knowing what's actually going on in the background. A commenter says, "What the fuck?" She didn't tell him despite promising she would. Then he proposed and she accepted, and she has the gall to brag about this to you. Here's the conversation I would suggest you have with her. You need to tell Mason what happened. If you don't, I'm going to. Although personally, I would just go tell Mason directly. She had a chance to do this and she went completely in the other lying direction. If you give her opportunity, she'll probably lie repeatedly and do everything she can to throw you under the bus, because she's proven she's a person with no morals whatsoever. If it were me, I'd risk the friendship ending and tell Mason. Honestly, I wouldn't want to be friends with somebody who could do that anyhow. Remember, she may be putting Mason at risk of STDs at this point with her dishonesty. Opie says, "I think that's what I need to do. Not only from a moral standpoint, but also because of the potential health risks. I was so upset when I saw her that I didn't even ask if she bothered to use protection. You're right. He deserves to know, and it would probably be wise if I didn't hint to her that I'm going to tell him." Commenter says, "You're doing the right thing. I'm very sorry that your friend's actions are forcing you to lose your friendship with her, but she made this choice and she put you in this position. So whatever happens from here on out, it's not your fault. It's hers." Commenter says, "You literally warned her multiple times that you did not like being put in the middle, and that you expect her to tell him." Opie says, "I never told her that I would tell him if she didn't. Sure, she can assume that, and she would definitely know it was me who spilled the beans when I tell him later. But I never explicitly said, 'Hey Kiana, if you don't tell Mason, I'm going to have to.' Of course, she's probably thinking of an alibi or already has some sort of story to plot against me if she thinks I'm going to tell him. But I never gave her a heads up on what I was going to do in this situation. She thinks I'm staying out of it." White Tiger says, "Mason deserves the truth too. I've also been cheated on before, so I know how it feels. You know what you need to do. You didn't and won't ruin anything. That cat was out of the bag, not due to your actions, but due to Kiana's actions. She's made her bed and now must lay in it. The best you can do is tell Mason, but whether or not he believes you is up to him. It's essentially her word versus yours. Do you even really want to be friends with someone who would do this to their fiancé?" Opie replies saying, "I do know that I need to do it. I need to figure out the best way to break it to him. I do have some text messages that I sent to her that night after she left, and the one she sent to me at 5 a.m. I hope that will suffice. You're right. As I was typing out my post, I realized if she could do that to the man she loves, the one she wants to spend forever with, what could or has she done to me? Not only that, but she has deliberately went home with that guy after I saw them kiss and called her out on it. It wasn't a drunken mistake. So then OP adds a mini update and says, thanks for all the advice. I posted this during my lunch break and the office has been busy this afternoon, so I haven't had a chance to respond to a lot of the comments. I knew right after I posted that I needed to tell Mason, regardless of my relationship with Kiana. Kiana texted me while I was on my lunch, asking me what the weight limit is for a carry-on because she thinks she needs to empty some stuff. I completely forgot that she was flying out for a conference this evening. I gave her a short response, then called Mason, who picked up. I told him I needed to talk to him tonight and he said he would meet me after work. He works a block away from me. I'm meeting him in about half an hour and I'm planning on telling him anyways. It's shitty timing considering Kiana won't be home until Saturday afternoon, but the clock is ticking and I need to be honest right away. I will update in a few days. So 5 days later, OP came in with her first update and said, last post is here, and then shared the link. This is a quick thank you to everyone who responded. I wasn't able to respond to any more comments on my last post or update right away due to my post being locked, but here's the update now. As soon as I sent my last post, I knew I had to tell Mason what was going on. It wasn't clear to my conscience. It was because I knew if I was in his position, I'd want somebody to tell me too. Mason is still one of my good friends too, and he didn't deserve that treatment, regardless of my relationship with Kiana. Kiana texted me while I was on my lunch and asked me what the weight limit was for a carry-on, and that's when I remembered she was going away to some conference and wouldn't be back until Saturday. I responded with a weight limit. I called Mason and he picked up and asked him if we could see each other that night. He said we could meet at a pub in between both of our offices after work that day. When I got off work and walked over to the pub, my stomach was in knots and my heart wouldn't stop beating because I was so nervous to break the news. I walked in and Mason was already waiting for me. He gave me a big hug and looked so happy, which made me feel even worse. Mason asked me about my day. I asked about his, etc. He then asked if Kiana mentioned anything about the ring, if she liked it, if she was happy, etc. He must have saw the look on my face because he asked me what was wrong. I started by saying that what I'm about to tell him will change either his relationship with Kiana, his friendship with me, Kiana's friendship with me, or all of the above. Mason looked confused, so I went on and told him about what happened Saturday. I didn't call Kiana any names. I didn't focus too much on her side or my side of the story. I just gave out an attempted objective narrative of what happened, right up until when she called me about the engagement, and I asked if she was going to tell him, and she said no. Mason went pale for a moment, and I asked him if he needed a minute. Mason told me that Kiana said she got really drunk and slept at my place Saturday night, which is why she didn't come home to him. He asked to see the text I sent her, so I showed him the text thread and all the place calls I made to see if she was okay. I told him that if I were in his position, I'd want to know, and because I care for him, I didn't want him to find out later on. He looked at me with almost no expression on his face and said, well, I guess I should get tested, huh? I felt so bad for him and asked him if he needed anything. He told me he believed me and will talk to Kiana when she gets home. Mason said our friendship won't change and he's grateful that I told him before he ended up marrying her, but feels like shit that she accepted his proposal. He's flaunting the engagement to the world, yet fucked someone 4 days prior. He said he wouldn't be surprised if this wasn't the first time something like this happened. I told him I had no idea if anything else had gone on, but if he needed anything else, to let me know. He said he had talked to Kiana when she gets back on Saturday. This is when he started to get a little teary-eyed and said he had to go. He gave me a hug goodbye. I didn't hear from him until Saturday night around 11 PM when I got a call from Kiana asking if she could come to my place. She showed up 15 minutes later and was a crying mess. She said that Mason broke off the engagement because he logged onto her Facebook and found messages that she had sent to some guys over the past year. Mason told her how I told him about last Saturday night and she said she was too afraid to tell him because it was a mistake. Kiana then asked why I told him and I said it. If it happened to her, I would do the same thing. And if it were me in Mason's position, I would want to know too. Her face started turning red and then she dropped a bomb on me. In my last post, I said that I knew how Mason felt because I was cheated on before. My last boyfriend Dominic and I were together for 3 years before he came to my place one drunken night out with hickeys on his neck. I knew they weren't from me and immediately broke it off with him. He said he doesn't remember who they were from, which I knew was bullshit. Kiana said that she was the one that Dominic cheated on me with, which means that not only did Dominic cheat on me with my best friend, but she cheated on Mason with him too. I couldn't even look at her. I asked her to leave and to not contact me again. I've been questioning our friendship ever since. I got some texts and missed calls from her asking me to hear her out, calling me a bitch, then going back to kissing my ass. I blocked her number and her profiles on all social media accounts. Mutual friends of ours have asked what happened and they say they're not surprised by her behavior. I heard from Mason on Monday night. He texted me saying it's over, and I asked if he was okay. Mason told me he will be eventually and asked me to meet him for a coffee tonight when I'm done work. Apparently he took a few days off for personal reasons. So that's about it, Reddit. Turns out I was blind to her character this whole time. I'm incredibly hurt that my so-called best friend has never really been a best friend to me at all. I can't be left wondering what else has happened but to move on and spend time with my friends who care about me and have proven so. I might provide a mini update on here if anything else happens after I talk to Mason tonight. I'm just still in shock by this whole ordeal. It makes me wonder if any of this would have come to light had I not said anything to Mason. Thanks for all the advice, internet strangers. I appreciate it. Curvy and Crying says to OP, I'm so sorry that both you and Mason went through this mess. You're both far better off without Kiana. She sounds like a shitty partner and a terrible friend. Wish you both the best of luck. Commenter says, wow, what a horrible person. By the way, the reason she chose to tell you about her and your now ex is because she wanted to hurt you. She's a horrible person, and I'm glad you told her boyfriend. Because you did. He read her messages and found out how bad she truly was, and now you both know that she's been hurting him for a long time. Commenter says, by the way, the reason she chose to tell you about her and your ex now is because she wanted to hurt you. She's been saving this. She's held this in her arsehole arsenal, waiting for a signal to go fucking nuclear. She hung out with OP, probably helped her through a shitty breakup, all the while knowing. I can't even begin to go off how shitty and cold a person like this. Fuck this person. And someone says, will OP possibly date Mason? OP says, lol, no way. I care for Mason a lot, but this isn't a Jennifer Anderson-esque romantic comedy. So OP did come in one more time and says, mini update. Sorry if the spelling is off. I'm tired and on mobile. I met Mason at a cafe after work. He didn't look very good, kind of disheveled and his eyes were all puffy. I gave him a huge hug and he said, well, that's not how I expected that weekend to go. He said he cut Kiana off from everything, kicked her out of his house, got the ring back, changing all the passwords and banking information. She tried contacting him too, but like me, he blocked her off of everything. He asked if I saw her and told him what happened on Saturday night, and I told him what happened. He felt really bad for me that Dominic cheated on me with Kiana, and I reminded him that 1, she also cheated on him and Dominic, and 2, while I appreciate his sympathy, he's the one who needs support right now. Then Mason brought up the fact that I also lost my best friend too. We talked about moving forward, and he said he will take some of the engagement money after he sells it to go on a nice vacation. We just talked about random things, and he thanked me for all of my support. Before we left, he gave me a big hug and said telling him was a brave thing to do and that he appreciates that act of loyalty and it means a lot to him. I said I will be there for him when he needs anything. To many of you who are asking, I will not become friend with benefits with Mason or even date him. Not now at least. Yes, I care for him. Yes, the attraction is there and we get along great. But I knew how devastated I was after Dominic cheated on me. You lose all trust and dating again can be scary. It took me a long time to come to terms with the fact that not everyone out there is a liar or a cheater, and I had to do a lot of self-reflecting and become confident in myself. I want Mason to have the same opportunity. Jumping into something with him would not be wise, especially because he'd be feeling a lot of different emotions over the next little while. Maybe it could happen one day, maybe not, but I'm just going to do what I can and go be the friend he needs right now. Thank you for your support, guys. You all are truly a bunch of gems. Bloody hell, when Kiana weaponized she had cheated with OP's partner and used it against her in that moment, it just says what kind of person she is, doesn't it? What did Kiana gain out of that? Staring at OP after all this and then just saying that in a moment of spitefulness. I can't help but think about what a wild way it is to live. You know, you get up, you look at yourself in the mirror, whose life am I going to go and fuck up today? And not reflect, not be apologetic at all. It just seems the only reason she was sad is because it fucked with her own life. But I did enjoy OP's moment of self-reflection in the end, you know, people encouraging them to get together in some kind of way. And Opie just like, no, we're both sort of healing at the moment. She's just lost a best friend and found out some horrific information about her, and Mason is definitely in no place to be getting with anyone right now until he heals himself. Sure, it would have been like one of those fairy tale endings, right? But reality is very, very different. But what do you guys make of this situation? Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below. Now, just a huge thank you for being here today, getting involved in the stories you'll love, your support, your time, your subscribes, your likes, your hypes. Jesus, I'm rapping here. Thank you so much. And hopefully I'll see you in the next one.